Seems today's movie quite interesting, so the cinema is full. I'm really surprised. I've never seen analysts sitting on the stairs, and I just probably within a couple of minutes ask you to take empty positions, so just to sit comfortable. Please do that. And otherwise, it's quite difficult to write things on the knees. Please take your chairs, if you wish. If not, if you okay, fine. One of the 11 countries, and I'll guide you in my presentation from country at large through the industry trends, and of course focusing the Tele2 Russia performance. Of course, we can talk about bridging the future and discuss a little bit the news from the regulator side. Of course, I'm more than willing to answer your questions. Starting with Russia. For those who have never been there, so it's a quite big country. It's 11 time zones, and with the fact that we've got 6 new licenses, 6 new regions in the Far East, so it gives me more time to spend at work because I have to fly there from time to time. So it takes 10 hours to fly from Moscow to the Far East. So we have 43 regions. We have more than 20 million subs. And probably I will say the news of today, so we added another 250,000 subs in August, so it's 2.2 million subs. And so actually we are number 4 mobile operator in Russia. So in terms of revenue, in terms of number of subs, it's quite substantial operations. And 3 main things to focus for coming couple of years. First of all, we want to capitalize on our 2G licenses, and we want to grow within the existing frames, which means the scale and the licenses we have. And there's a big opportunity for that, so I will come later on to that. So we, of course, trying to bring our new regions. As you know, we've started with operations in 17 regions just 1.5 years ago. So we need to bring them as soon as possible at the stage of the mature regions, so with high EBITDA and a decent market share. In our understanding, decent market share is above 35%. And of course, we're looking for other opportunities to expand our operations. So through the licensing and of course through M&A, but as Matt said today, it's only when and where it makes sense. Microeconomics. So Russia, in spite of the crisis, is doing pretty well. So I think this year we're going to reach pre-crisis level in GDP, especially per capita. So the population is slightly shrinking. So now we have 140 million people living in the country. It's some negative trend in there. Talking about inflation and unemployment, I think it's pretty well under control. So I think the overall trend is very healthy. And as you know, the telecom is very much dependent on the macroeconomic indicators. So I think GDP is a major driver factor. So we can assume that telecom market in Russia is also having good perspectives. So it's a very highly penetrated market. So it's more than 160% penetration today, or close to 160% penetration of SIM cards. So it's more than 200 million SIM cards in the market. So it's pretty a big number. Look at the subscriber market share evolution. So we're comparing ourselves being number 4, of course, to the first 3 companies. And as you see here, the growth for Tele2 is probably because of the cost of some decline on other players. So I think we are getting to a certain point where we have more or less comparable market shares. Net adds, so that's very important. Look at this chart. Here you see pretty consistent intake for Tele2. Although the big 3, they had ups and downs, and in some quarters they had even minuses and losses. In some quarters they were gaining through the enormous growth intake. But in terms of net, so we are roughly through the year at the level of 25%, which is significant numbers. And our pool evolution is, well, you see here is pretty stable. Everybody knows that we have a pretty tough price wars in spite of the decline in price per minute. So I think people tend to speak more, so that makes ARPU is pretty flat. And a few words about the business model. Most of you, I think, remember we were presenting it last time. We had 3 categories of the customers: newcomers, challengers, and defenders. And then I don't go through the numbers. I think you're very clear specification of each of those groups. As I already said, our ambition is to move newcomers as soon as possible to defenders, and part of defenders to the to challengers to defenders. I think by end of the year, 50% of the newcomers will be already moved to the challengers. And I do believe that in 2 years, when we meet next time, so there will be no newcomers at all in Russia. All of them will be in challenging position or in defenders. So today we had a lot of discussions about the technologies, about the frequencies. I just want to repeat that in all the regions we have the spectrum of 1,800 megahertz, and the band is at least 15%. In some regions even more, up to 29, almost 30. And in some small regions we have, in some other regions we have some even 900 megahertz spectrum. So it means that talking about the today, we feel ourselves pretty comfortable. Look at the future and assuming all the potential changes which might happen in a regulatory field, and we will talk about that. So we feel pretty confident in ourselves for coming couple of years in order to use the existing spectrum to bridge Tele2 to the next digital era. Okay, a bit more in detail about the old and new regions. With no detailed comments, I just want to take your attention and show you the sub-base growth in old regions. So we're managing not only to defend our positions there, we are managing to keep growing in the old regions, which is absolutely a tremendous thing. And yeah, ARPU is a bit fluctuating, but still, you see, it's more or less growing, starting from 2010 and second quarter 2009. We are now at the level of 230 rubles, which is quite kind of numbers which are quite close to the average market. Analyze churn, healthy picture. So our customers are getting more stable, and we have a more quality sub base than ever. And as I said, again, sub base is growing. I mean, this is tremendous thing. In terms of top line and bottom line, there is also good performance. So the revenue is growing, as well as the EBITDA growing as well. So of course the market share in terms of subs and revenue are slightly different because we are a discounter, and of course market share will be always in revenue will be always less than the market share in subs. But in all regions we are at the level of 41%. That is the kind of market share we are aiming for all the new regions. So new regions. Same story. Well, the gross intake is getting down because remember, so we've started in actually third and fourth quarter 2009. It was a peak. We were getting the sub base and big portions. Still at the level of 400,000 per quarter, which is solid trend, and I think we're going to keep this trend until the end of the year for sure. Sub base is growing in a very impressive way, so I think within 1.5 years we managed to get over 5 million customers. The same story with ARPU, and look at the churn. So we're managing to keep churn under control. So it's below 40%, which is still below the market actually. So, but we are talking about new regions where we're just starting the operations. We're just getting sub base. The sub base is growing in an enormous speed. Again, financials, revenue, and bottom line. So you see here it says self-explanatory things. So I don't want to really go too much into detail. And the same story. So the market share is from 10% in revenue up to 20% in subs. You remember? So we going to almost double that. So that's ambitions we have, which will be much more difficult to do because now the competition is not the same like 4 to 5 years ago, but nevertheless there is a certain benchmark we want to keep for ourselves. And here is kind of a snapshot of all the regions, split all the regions with the market shares in terms of subs revenue, and I would say even not less important list is a brand awareness percentage. And I guess it's aided brand awareness when the consumers are asked, choose the company which you know from telecom, from the list, and then basically in all regions